Alright, so it's raining outside, so I thought I might do a review of the power tools that I've recently been buying. I've kind of decided to go for the Ryobi One Plus range. I've so far made 3 purchases in the range. That is one purchase, charger and battery. The jigsaw is another, and the bag, the circular saw, the impact driver, the drill, the angle grinder, 2 batteries and charger was a third purchase. So price wise, I think that was about $60 Australian, $90 Australian, but that was $400. Hello Atlas. Hey. This range, it's all 18 volt. They do lithium ion and nickel cadmium batteries. Stick with the lithium. So I've not heard anything good about the NiCads as far as I can tell, and they don't seem to really sell them anymore. It seems like it's more of a throwback to an older generation. I could be wrong on that. They give you all the tools you need. They give you a single blade for the circular saw, a single disc for the grinder. You know, you've got everything you need off the ground. I'd recommend buying a cutting disc as well, because it only comes with a grinding disc. That's one thing I've noticed. Haven't had to do any metal work yet. So that pack there for $400 comes with the bag. It's going to seem really silly, but the bag has definitely kept the wife a little bit happier. The big deal about the system is that any battery works with any tool at any time. The thing I really love about them, that's a battery from my jigsaw. And now she's good to go. So I got the jigsaw and the battery system I've got here to install on the cat doors. It was remarkably effective at getting the job done. Just going through a hollow core door, absolutely no problem. I needed an impact driver for some reason. For fixing the car door for some reason, I couldn't get some of the screws off or some of the bolts off or anything like that. It was a real pain, and the little IKEA electric screwdriver I had was just not doing the job. So I know I've needed one of these for a while. So those of you who don't know what the difference between impact driver and drill is, a drill will turn and a hammer drill will even go in and out. What an impact driver does is it does have an impact similar to a hammer drill, but instead of going in and out, what it actually does is it shocks each way around like that. So it's individual motions. So it'll act like a drill for the initial startup, but then when the going gets tough, it'll go into this impulse mode. And the impulse mode, if you went and bought out a U-boot impact driver, you could put a screw in a 2x4 and out the other side, it would fall clean out, or snap the head off it. They are incredibly powerful. I think this is 170 Newton meters. I don't know what that's like in comparison to others, but I do like it. We've also finished the trellis. It's done. I think it took probably an hour and a half or 2 hours for Jono and I to do to there or there, and I did the rest of it in about 20-25 minutes. Because of the impact driver, it just made it a one-man job. The big thing for me is batteries. Being able to swap between them is a big deal. It's something I've really found a giant pain with historic tools, and I know a lot of other companies do them. I had a look at the Ozito range, which is the kind of one of the Bunnings home brand range. I just wasn't happy with the feel and the quality. All of these tools are incredibly light, but they are battery tools. There are a couple of different batteries I have here. I have a 1.3 amp hour battery. They're all 18 volts, so amp hour will basically give you how many hours it can produce 1 amp at that voltage. You use a lot more than that, so you don't get 1.3 hours out of a 1.3 amp hour battery because you're drawing a lot more than an amp. They tend to hold their charge pretty well. I found that. These two here are 2.5 amp hour batteries, and they go up to a 5. I've got 2 chargers as well. I haven't noticed any difference between the 2 chargers, I must say. This one's nice and small, and this one's big. Although this one's got mains going right to it, and this has got a transformer built in. So I might expect this one to run slower, but I put the 2.5s next to each other, and by the time I look up and check them, they're both ready. Believe it or not, the bag is incredibly useful. I probably already said that. For, I think, 20 bucks, a really decent sized, like 148 piece driver set, so all sorts of different drivers that I'll never use, because I kept running into the problem with the car door that I was repairing. There was just the next type of fitting. This new set has stuff I've never seen before in it. Atlas has decided to be friendly. He's been ignoring me all night until I decided to get these tools out and do a little review. Again, I gotta point out that they are battery tools. You can't treat them like you would an AC tool. They will get the job done, but you are not going to grind for hours. If you push down really hard with the angle grinder, you can stop the blade. Twist or jam or put out a kilter, the circular saw blade will stop moving, and it will cut out. You know, it's got a safety switch to prevent it doing that. or to stop it from hurting itself and burning out the motor in that case. The little poles that we did for the exits and entries on the trenches, so where we have all the penetrations coming out of the ground, we put those points on them. I did it with that tool. I cleaned them up with the angle grinder. I used it just to basically flush them down. It worked quite well, and it was good because I could just quickly snap a battery in and out, and it was all good to go. However, you go through the batteries pretty quickly. The 2.5 amp hour, they're fine for a couple of tasks, but have 2 of them. Don't expect to get through a decent sized job on a single battery, ever. Haven't got the 5 amp hour battery. That's probably going to be one of the next purchases. They have a chainsaw in this range. We have a couple of trees I want to take out that I think it'd be worth removing. I think that's going to be the next addition. That might even be this week. And they're about 150. A 5 amp hour battery, you can get 2 for $200. So I'm looking at that and going, that's probably pretty nice. The thing with the batteries is a 5 amp hour battery gives you more than double the runtime of a 2.5 amp hour. Basically has to deal with the fact that there's a little bit of charge left in these when they run flat, but there's still actually some charge in there. So let's say you've got half an amp hour left of equivalent charge before the voltage stops dropping. So that gives you 2 usable amp hours, whereas in a 5 amp hour battery, once you get to a half amp hour, you've used 4.5 rather than 2 times 2 is 4. I found these batteries, you can probably use them for about 35-40 minutes intensely before they start, stopping, and you're like, oh, okay, that means go swap the batteries out. But with these 3 batteries and the work I was doing, stopping, quick spray paint at the tip of those, of the various parts that were coming out of the ground, and the tips of the poles that we cemented in, not a problem. I did all of the jigsaw work for the dishwasher in one hit on a 1.3 amp hour battery. So I think the jigsaw, it's not very demanding, or the work you do is pretty efficient. They've got a good hand feel. Nothing I can say nasty about how they're like ergonomically designed, I guess. They're not Makitas. You're not going to build a house with one. They don't have that feel of I'm going to keep working day in out. They do have this feeling that they're a quality tool, but they are a mid-range tool. I like this system because Jigsaw's $100. I think it's $250 in the Makita range, for instance. So they're definitely not Makitas in that quality level, or AEGs or Milwaukees or anything like that. They are impossible to lose, I've got to say that, because of the color. You don't lose them, which is really, really nice, because I put things down when I'm not paying attention and then come back hours and hours later. 2 chargers, that way you can have 2 batteries on charge and a battery that you're using at any one time, and that way you can rotate out. I never found myself without a battery that was at least 3/4 charged throughout working on the weekend. Individually, impact driver is great. It's not a super duper impact driver. At 107 Newton meters, you're just not going to get some of the results you can get with the really big, powerful brushless Milwaukees and things like that, which can work all day through horrible material. The drill is a drill. It's a 2-speed drill, and it has a hammer setting, I think. I haven't even used it that much. I'd never use a battery drill for hammer. You just want the grunt of AC. And I've got a Bosch hammer drill that's worked for all the brickwork we've had to do. Circular saw is really good. It's light. It's super light. There's no cord. My father once ran a circular saw blade through its cord. It didn't kill him, but it was apparently a fairly unpleasant experience, and he had to re-terminate that, and it forever had a very short cord on it. He was always bemoaning it being a bit of a pain in the ass. The problems I found with this, and it's probably to do with the strength of the battery, it's only 165 millimeter. It just gets through 2x4. You have to make multiple cuts on, say, a 4x4, and in fact it doesn't cut halfway through a 4x4. You have to make multiple cuts, and then it kind of breaks off. A 2x4 I found it goes through, but only just. It's good for little work. I still have a slightly larger circular saw. The grinder's fine. I've had AEGs, I've had Milwaukees, I've had XU1s, I've had a Zito in the past. I think my first powered tool was a grinder. It's not going to cut bolts all day, but it will finish things off. It will round edges. It will sharpen tools. That's a big one. We've sharpened the shovels that we have, and that's just made things different. It's a totally different thing digging at the moment. I don't really have a lot of experience with jigsaws. It's got a bunch of grunt though, more than enough for what it needs. I've been cutting cupboards, chipboard, various woods, and I've had no trouble getting through them. Plasterboard, drywall, all that kind of stuff, no issue at all. And I've mostly been doing that with the little battery cell as well. For all the tools, it's probably the heaviest. Speed adjustable on the top button, and you can lock the power in position. I don't really know what the adjustment of these 3 items does. It seems to think one goes straight, one goes through pipes, one goes through metal. I've never really had the issue. Oh, hey buddy. Did you want some attention? So yeah, I've been pretty happy with the range as is. And it's good because they also do a range of power tools like pole loppers and stuff that'll work on the same battery range. For me, I don't want to have 1,000 charges. One of the things they do have, and one of the reasons I ran power to the shed, is they have a port. You connect it to mains power and you can have 6 batteries and it will charge them, but it will also check, cycle through and check them for charge. And check them for defect, and we'll charge them one at a time and make sure they're all topped up and ready to go. And so that I plan on having in the shed. I don't love keeping large lithium batteries around the house. Lithium can be a fire risk. If punctured, a lithium battery can burst into flames. So yeah, it'll keep it in the shed. So that's one of the reasons for running mains power to the shed. That, light, ventilation, that kind of thing as well for when we do the greenhouse shed. Pretty happy so far. I'd recommend this to any home user. If you're a tradesperson, go buy some Makita. That's what you need to buy. This will not serve your needs, but for me as a home user, this is absolutely fine. The only inadequacies I've really found with it is that it's just not as powerful as a mains powered tool, but the convenience is worth it in my mind. So yeah, that's the range I've got so far. So I've probably dropped 500, nearly 600 bucks so far, but I found it quite easy and pleasurable to use the range, and just that swapping between batteries and not faffing about with parts has been absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that'll do me. Thanks. Bye.